Welcome to Charts Today Energy. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Friday, the 19th of October, comes to you from London. And markets still in quite a lot of turmoil. We saw the US stock markets down significantly last night. Nasdaq was down 2.3%. The Dow Jones was down over 300 points. So we're seeing that sentiment really across the board. Asia quite mixed. Weaker numbers out from China this morning, although the stock market there is up. And we've seen a little bit of a rise in crude oil having opened lower. Gold holding on to its gains at 12.23. So looking quite strong there. US bond yields still sitting at 3.18%. The dollar actually looking stronger, and the euro looking weaker. The yen, the dollar yen we're seeing here, that's where we're seeing the bullish tone on all three time frames. And sterling actually looking a bit weaker as well against the dollar, some 1.6, 2.8% lower potentially. There were the targets. Against the euro, sterling actually looking weaker there this morning as well. Taking a look at the energy mix, we see here Brent crude is recovering a bit this morning, still in bearish mode. So we had a bit of a recovery here, but we're just selling off again. These downside targets on the 1 minute chart are really hanging over Brent at the moment. So we've got 77.60, 77.70, 78.10. So anywhere between 1.8 and 2.5% downside. These targets we're seeing to the downside really, multiple targets like that do suggest that that's where we're going. We still have the long-term targets in play, but we do have a medium-term target. 75 is the target on Brent crude, so that's 5% lower. This is my long-term charts, my medium-term, and my shorter-term 1 minute charts here. So this is all running on Thomson Reuters icon data. Taking a look at WTI, much the same picture as you'd expect. Downside target's not quite as clear here, and but we are seeing the deterioration in price, and we are still bearish. Correlations with the US dollar, with the US dollar are still negative, which is what we'd expect. Rising dollar, falling crude. US nat gas fell back a little bit overnight. We're sitting at $3.24 now on US nat gas, so not looking as strong. But holding really on to just the bullish trend there. Quite a sharp fall, and then buying coming back in. 335 as a new upside target. We do have some downside pressure now, and 311 is a new target. So US nat gas could go either way. We saw this downside target at 320. We've pulled back to there, but the longer term target's still in train, and the picture is still pretty bullish. Taking a look at heating oil, much the same picture as crude. Downside targets there quite clearly, and RBOB, we've got downside targets and an upside target, so a less clear picture for the US product there. Looking at coal, we're sitting at 97.80. Again, if you're running on Trayport data into Updata, you'll have a bit of a clearer picture. We do have this upside target of 101, so it does look like we will get back there, and quite good longer term targets in train. So coal looking more bullish at the moment, and we're seeing that rise over the last few days, really showing through as low as $94, heading back into the 98 region, with this target now above $100 to play for. Taking a look at emissions, jumped yesterday. We had quite a good day. We saw that rise through the day. We had these upside targets in place, 1980. We've got now on emissions, and the 1 minute charts on the emissions contract are really valuable. We've got this target of 2040. If we make new highs, €20.40, that's another 4% higher. So on the 1 minute chart, emissions looking pretty strong indeed. We're still bearish on the 60 minute chart, so trends within trends, and we do have these longer term downside targets activated, which is showing just the emissions picture is quite toppy, but very short term looks like we're rising. MBP jumped yesterday, and again this morning looking quite strong, and so we're seeing that kicking in. We have got this upside targets here for MBP of 72 is the target. So not a lot of upside, but still looking quite bullish in the short term, just jumping there. Medium term on the 60 minute chart, we're not quite bullish. We still do have some pretty big downside targets hanging over us on the long-term charts. It's just looking more and more toppy. So just bearing in mind that it's looking short-term bullish, but we still have the longer-term picture. And of course, that crude oil price, here we see the correlations with crude. That crude oil price is going to weigh heavily on gas prices. And if it does fall to that 75 level, here we're looking at TTF, the 1 minute chart showing the jump again. So yesterday not as strong, and then jumping this morning. We've got 2675 as the short-term target, 2667 on that medium-term chart. So we are seeing some play there. Key thing is to just watch this correlation with oil. It's climbing stronger, so if oil does fall to that $75 mark, then we might see a sell-off in TTF. NCG just not looking as strong, falling away there on that 1 minute chart. Got downside and upside targets, so it could go either way, but the trend is clearly down there. And Italian gas not looking strong either, with clear downside targets there, some 3 to 6% lower. Looking at power markets, German power looking strong again, had a good rise yesterday. Remember we said yesterday we needed to wait for the break. Well, it did break, and we rose about a year and a half from 51.50 to 53. And that's now activated this 54.80 target. Yesterday we were waiting for an activation on that. We've now got that, so some 3% higher. These downside targets less significant whilst this trend is in train. So a good one there to watch. Keep an eye on the 1 minute charts for targets there. And again, if you're on the Trayport data on German power, you'll probably have more targets because you've got more granular data on the OTC. French power not looking as bullish as German power, although the longer term upside targets are still very much there. Looking at Nordic power again, looking as not as strong, looking quite weak. UK power also. Dutch power, having had an amazing run the last several weeks, fairly flat at the moment, and Czech power much the same. Polish power actually looking quite strong, and we said this yesterday, and we've got some quite good upside targets. This is on the exchange data for Polish power, but looking quite good there. So keeping an eye on that. Anyway, that's it for today. Until Monday, happy charting. Have a great weekend. See you there.